Farmers Market. I'm Mindy McCulley, County Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Science in Barron County. Have you ever had one of those weeks where you just can't make it to the farmer's market? Well, I had one of those weeks this week. But luckily, we have lots of methods for preserving the produce that we are able to purchase on the days that we do make it to the market. So today, we're going to look at some of those methods that we can use to preserve our Kentucky Proud produce for use at a later time. And we're also going to look at some of the plated up Kentucky Proud recipes that are great for utilizing those preserved products. Home canning is a wonderful method for preserving that fresh garden produce for use at a time later in the year or maybe even next year. The most traditional method would be the boiling water canner bath. And you might have a boiling water canner bath that looks something like this. Usually it's a stock pot with a lid, and we'll sometimes have some kind of a rack inside for holding your jars. Now you'll notice that I have a smooth cooktop surface that I'm working on today. And in the past, we have recommended that you do not use smooth top surfaces for canning because of the transfer of heat, and some of them are programmed to turn off when the heat gets too high, and so that would make for inconsistent canning levels. Cooktop manufacturers are learning that people want to can their products, and so they have been modifying their cooktops for use with canning. So talk to your manufacturer. If you want to do some canning on your smooth cooktop, talk to the manufacturer and make sure that it is recommended for the particular model that you have in your home. And then, of course, if it's all okay with them, then have at it. You want to gather some supplies, and as I said, we have these typical water bath canners. You'll probably want a jar lifter or a lid lifter, and this is just a wonderful tool. And then this is a jar lifter, and so this is another method for pulling the jar out of the canner. Place it down in your jar with the rubber sides facing down, and then you can pull the jar right out of the boiling water and put it on a cool surface. So that's another tool. You also probably want to have a nice colander. This is of course for filling your jar. You want to not have a whole lot of the spillage or mess, and so if you have a nice colander, then you can just put that in your jar lid and then fill the jar to the appropriate recommended level. Now, one of the reasons that boiling water canner baths and canning is not recommended for our cooktops is because many of our boiling water canners do not have a smooth surface on the bottom. So if you have a canner such as this that does not have the smooth surface, then you can use just a regular stock bottom can be used on your smooth top surface if the manufacturer recommends. You will want to insert a rack to keep your jars from touching the bottom surface. The boiling water bath that we talked about is a great way for canning our fruit products and other products that don't require acidification. Many of our vegetable products don't have enough acid in them to be able to be canned safely in our canning water bath, and therefore they have to be canned in a pressure canner. Pressure canners have been around for a long time, and they are a popular method for canning our foods. And they include several elements. First of all, you want to, before you start canning, you want to make sure that your gauge is accurate, your canning gauge. So take that to your extension office, and we will have methods for testing your canner gauge to make sure that you are getting the right pressure. Also, you want to check your gasket or your rubber ring that is inside your lid and make sure that it has not dry rotted or have any cracks in it from your previous years of canning, because that is going to be an opportunity for you to lose pressure, and so therefore your products will not be canned properly. Your canner probably also has a pressure regulator valve, or a jiggler as we might have called it in the past, and that helps to keep allow pressure to escape when you reach levels higher than 15 pounds of pressure, so that you don't have an incident in your kitchen. Most of the your canners are going to come with directions for sealing, and mine tells me that I need to line up a couple of arrows here on the side before I put my lid on, and then I'll turn it to get a nice, firm, tight seal. Your pressure canner should have come with an instruction manual, and we recommend that you keep that at all times so that you have it available when you are planning to do some canning. And then if you have want information about how to can, we have those publications available here at the Extension office, and they refer to the different levels of pressure that you need for canning in Kentucky. In addition to canning, other methods for preserving our fresh Kentucky Proud produce for future use include freezing and drying. And here at the Extension office, we have publications with the recommendations for freezing or drying your fresh produce. And this is a great method to make sure that you have that summer flavor all throughout the year. A few of the Plated Up Kentucky Proud recipes that can utilize some of the methods that we have talked about today include confetti chicken quesadilla, which this is a great recipe to use your frozen peppers that you might have already chopped and have them ready for use at a later date. Another recipe that would be great using your canned or frozen corn would be our zippy corn chowder recipe. While this is a great tasting recipe during the summer, we don't often think about chowder as a summertime recipe. So preserve that corn and use this recipe to have some great tasting zippy corn chowder later in the year when the temperatures are just a little bit cooler and we want some of that warming comfort food. Another great recipe that would give you the flavors of summertime in the dead of winter would be the Summertime Sensation casserole, and you could use some of the frozen green pepper or frozen or canned corn to make this great recipe. And then another recipe that really lends itself to being preserved for later use is our beefy stuffed pepper recipe. And this recipe, you can actually prepare the whole recipe and freeze it for later use, or you can freeze your peppers and then whole and use them later in this recipe. So anytime you're going to be cooking your fresh produce in a casserole or as part of a soup, then you can often replace that fresh with the frozen or canned product that you have preserved from. Again, as we plated up Kentucky Proud with the great Kentucky produce that is available here in our state.